Hey everyone, we're going to take a quick break and talk about our sponsors for the month, AMP Agency. AMP is a full-service digital marketing agency that specializes in tour, rental, and destination marketing.
We would not have sponsors on the show if we could not vouch for them ourselves. AMP Agency does a bunch of stuff for Destiny Water Adventures personally. I 100% vouch for this guy. I've handed them over to other companies in the past before they officially became a sponsor, and they have had nothing but great things to say. If you guys are doing your own marketing and doing a piss poor job of it, do yourselves a favor. Hand yourselves over to AMP Agency, specifically Steve Edwards, their CEO, will call you personally and have a great conversation with you about what you guys need to do for your marketing.
Listen, guys, they do pretty much everything in digital marketing: website development, maintenance, Google AdWords, PPC, graphic design, social media management, SEO, and a myriad of other things. When you choose a marketing company, it's so important to choose a company that knows your industry. And AMP Agency knows activity marketing, especially water sports and tours. They got a promo going for Awkward Watersport Guys listeners for their managed websites. Use promo code Awkward Podcast when you go to amp.agency. Again, that's amp.agency, promo code Awkward Podcast. You get 3 months free and get started with AMP Agency. All right, guys, let's get back to the show.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 145 of your favorite awkward water sports guys and boat rental experts. At least I thought I was until I had a great conversation with our guest on the show today. As always, I am joined by Greg Makimosabi Fisher, as I love to call him. And our guest today, Kenny Hilderbrandt, the founder of rentaboat.com. How you doing, Kenny?
Hey guys, great to be here. Hey Kevin, Greg, and your audience. Thank you for the invite. I love talking about myself.
Yeah, we all do. What Dale Carnegie said, that there's like no sweeter sound to a man than his own name, I believe it was, but in this instance, voice. Hey, I got to ask you, did you have to pay like a big bag of money for that rentaboat.com? It seems like that would be an expensive one.
Yeah, you would think so, right? Now, I bought those things early on when everybody said the domain names were going to be a fad. Yeah. So, I was the foolish one that spent all my money on buying tons and tons of domain names back then when the internet was young.
Yeah,
so was I.
Like $1 or something, you know?
Yeah. So, that's a story in itself, I guess. I had a facility, the local facility renting boats out of, and at the time didn't have a website, so that was the next step. And I went out there and it was available, so I grabbed it.
So give us a little bit of background on you, brother. Like, what is it that you got going? What do you do? You got a few different things got going on, yeah?
Got a lot of pokers in the fire, Well, I grew up in Long Island, New York. Fun place to grow up, surrounded by water. Became an avid boater, young in. Worked at some boat yards when I was a kid on weekends. My dad was a heavy truck mechanic and engine remanufacturing business. Weekends, college, parents had a place out in Montauk, which is a kind of like a touristy kind of area. Would go out there weekends and jump on a couple of boat renting facilities, helping them fix their boats, and then jumping on some of the charters, going out and dip my feet in that pond. College, studied some business marketing and business management. Did a couple of computer programming courses because that was really interesting back then. And then after college, my dad bought a marina, and he moved his engineering manufacturing company out there to stop working on heavy trucks, and started doing that in one of the buildings there. And I pretty much took over the marina, and then started renting boats out of the marina. And again, that's when I grabbed the domain name rentaboat.com, with also boatrenting.com and jetskirentals.com and jetskirentals.com. I think you own bareboat.com, possibly. But
in addition to owning the rentaboat.com, you have a couple actual physical marinas, yeah?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So we have a marina here up in New York and down here in Florida. Well, actually, we don't own the one here in Florida. We lease them pontoons out down in Palm Beach Shores. But the physical place up in New York we own 3.5 acre, 70 slip full service marina, 35 ton and open end marine travel lift and forklift, and we do pretty much everything there.
And what does rentaboat.com do for our listeners?
So rentaboat.com is an idea I had when I did open my facility at the marina. I started renting boats out of there and using that domain name as my own website. And then I got a ton of emails from people from all over in this country and even outside the country, asking me for boat rental facilities in their area, thinking that I was in their area, I suppose. And that gave me the idea to open up a website, a directory website that could facilitate and do boat rentals around the world. We do a referral site.
You said that you told me pre-show that you actually do cater a lot to the bareboat industry to help resell boats with a chartered because I gotta use the word captain loosely because I'll let you go ahead and explain it too. So explain bareboats to our audience a little bit. What a bareboat charter looks like.
Are you tired of spending countless hours managing your water sport and boat rental reservations manually? Is your current system outdated or doesn't provide the necessary features that your business requires? Hi, I'm Greg Fisher, the CEO of wondrous, an online reservation software built by operators for operators. With our system, you can offer 24/7 online booking to your customers, allowing them to book and pay for their rentals at their convenience. You can also send SMS notifications to your customers, keeping them updated on their reservation status and any changes that may occur. Custom options and dynamic pricing enable you to offer tailored packages to your customers, helping you stand out from your competitor. Plus, our system integrates with companies like Werewolf Digital Waivers and TripShock, streamlining your operations and ensuring a seamless booking experience for your customers. Our software is the best choice for water sport and boat tour operators as it is designed to cater specifically to your needs. So why waste any more time on manual reservation management? Try wondrous today and take your business to the next level. For a limited time, mention this ad and receive a $100 credit when you sign up. Check out wondrous.com for more info or to schedule a free demo. Now let's get back to the show.
When I started, it wasn't the whole peer-to-peer thing. You wanted private people weren't renting their boats out. We generally catered to the boat renting facilities. I mean, I was a facility myself, and charter companies. And again, it was more of a referral site. Still is. We would pass on the referral for a small commission. The boat owners, the actual renting facilities, and the charter companies pretty much took care of their end themselves, their taxes, their deposits. They really didn't want us involved in collecting their money for them, which I can understand. So we did, and we concentrate on the actual renting facilities and making them happy, helping them with insurances, helping them with contracts. They would reach out to us anytime, for knowledge that we could help them with.
So what is the definition of a bareboat charter?
So a bareboat is a boat or a vessel that is leased out with nothing else but the boat itself. Bare. That's where the word bare comes from. No captain or credentialed mariner. No crew. Just by itself. There's reasons for that.
Yeah, so so a lot of you guys listening to this, whether you know it or not, you are identified by the U.S. Coast Guard as a bareboat charter. So my boat rental livery here in Florida is designated by the U.S. Coast Guard as a bareboat charter.
Absolutely.
If you're operating on a lake in New York, anywhere in the country, if you are renting boats, you are actually designated by the U.S. Coast Guard as a bareboat charter, and that's where some of the ambiguity, I think, from the bareboat community, and correct me if I'm wrong, when the SB 606 here in the state of Florida came out regulating liveries and boat rentals and jet ski rentals, and yes, even your jet ski is considered a bareboat as in the eyes of the Coast Guard.
Jet ski is a bareboat contract. That's right.
There was a lot of pushback from the bareboat charter community that was like, we're not a livery, we are a charter, not a charter for hire, but a bareboat charter. We're not a livery. We're not doing rentals. We're doing bareboat charters. And Florida does see a distinct difference.
One of my employees, she calls bareboat charters bareback charters, and I don't correct her. I just let her keep saying it because it's so funny.
Well, there is a history to that. So
There is okay. I want to hear it.
the moorings, the company that rents out cats down in the Caribbean, they did a spin-off on the whole bareboat and called it barefoot chartering or bareback chartering, and that was like kind of a marketing scenario for them. And it just so these captains today, it's kind of funny when they start referring to the bareboat as a barefoot or a bareback charter. That was all from the moorings.
Kevin prefers bareback charters.
Yeah, man. It's like Willie Nelson said in Half Baked. They asked him, he goes, "Hey, how much did condoms cost in your day?" He goes, "I don't know. We didn't use them."
Exactly. So it's kind of funny. It makes me chuckle really hard when these captains who think they know everything about boating, throw out the bareback or barefoot terms loosely. I mean, even the term captain isn't really, specifically correct. It's credentialed mariner, but we won't even go there.
You're right.
Yeah, I've heard 4 different variations: bare bones, barefoot. I heard barefoot, bareback. I've heard them all. It's just funny.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's like it truly does lead to a greater issue in the industry, because there's a massive gap between somebody renting a boat and renting a jet ski and a 500-ton unlimited captain or a third or second mate who's gone to the Maritime Academy, through the Maritime Academy, but we all subscribe to the same rules and the same rule book, which is the CFR that the Coast Guard goes by. So, just because in the state of Florida we have some unique things to our industry because of the amount of liveries or bareboat, there's been some ambiguity as to what those the original laws on the books meant, and then SB 606 came out, and which kind of threw like another layer of bureaucracy, which confused everybody a lot more. So can you tell us, Kenny, because I hear the term demise charter, is that another term?
That was actually the term that was used prior to bareboat.
Okay.
And bareboat is actually more of a layman's term to it that's kind of stuck.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So,
with that,
where did all this,
even the cat.
Where did all this come from then? So a little bit pre-show we talked about the
So
LLC.
sure, let's go way back to
1851.
Prior to them even having captain credentials at all. In fact, in 1851, in the 1850s, they had a huge problem. First off, with trade, exporting out of this country. England was dominating it, and the reason why is because the ship owners, the boat owners, that's a business. They were actually banks and financial places that owned these boats. They weren't actually the ones that ran the boats, okay? But they were losing boats left and right to storms. With that, the cargo, the people the company that owned the cargo were suing them, and all these boat owners were losing money left and right, and they all got out of the business. So we weren't exporting out of the country. And Congress stepped in and said, "Hey, we got to do something." England already had a what's called a Limitation of Liability Act. So our Congress stepped in and built an act called the Limitation of Liability Act of 1851 that protected the boat owner.
Hey guys, this is Kevin from the Awkward Watersports Guys and TakeMyBoatTest.com, the only Florida owner-operator boater safety test provider. At Take My Boat Test, we're more than just a test. We're your partners in safe boating and operation. As livery and boat rental professionals ourselves, we understand the importance of navigating our waters responsibly. That's why we've created a boater safety test tailored specifically for Florida's visitors and Florida operators. But that's not all. We're proud to offer the highest commissions in the industry to our partners, because when when you succeed, we succeed. Visit takemyboattest.com/partner-program for more information on how to join our growing network of safe boating partners, or email Kevin at takemyboattest.com to learn more. Don't wait. Take the first steps toward a safer, more enjoyable boating experience in Florida today. Takemyboattest.com, where Florida boaters become certified operators.
Liability for the cargo to a limit of what the value of was salvaged. So a boat owner, a ship owner who leased out his boat to someone, when that boat sank, now he wasn't liable for that cargo completely. Only what was salvaged. Even the Titanic had used the Limitation of Liability Act for the wrongful death suits that were involved, millions. And the only thing they were actually liable for was the lifeboats. The value of the lifeboats is what the families received, because they couldn't even find the Titanic. So, and oil rigs, there's a bunch of different cases. Refer back to the Limitations Act of 1851, which is still in effect today, still used every day. And I can tell you a story of how I found out about it real quick. It completely shocked me. I mean, I'm in the boat renting business. I'm paying insurance, lots of money to the insurance company. And I had a situation with two guys come out and rent a small runabout, 17, 18 foot, I think it was, open bow, pretty new boat. We have an inlet that goes out, the bay connects to the ocean, probably about 15 miles from us, which we, of course, wouldn't allow anybody to go out to. These two yahoos decided they were going to go out in the ocean. At that point, they turned the boat over, upside down, floating in the inlet. Please come, take them, bring it back to us. They were fine, nothing physically wrong with them, but we ended up having a boat that was upside down in the inlet, brought back to us literally upside down. They towed the boat back to us upside down. Story goes on. A couple weeks later, my insurance company comes out, does a deposition, asks me how much the boat's, what the value of the boat is at that time. At that time, we had already taken the boat out of the water. We re-sank it in a freshwater lake down the street to get the salt off, and that boat was already back in service. So, the boat was probably worth around a couple of grand, I guess. Anyway, years go by. I hear nothing from the insurance company. I did actually back up a little bit. We did get sued by the two fellows that were on the boat for back problems. We also got sued, which is kind of funny. We also got sued by their wives, $1 million apiece.
Because they couldn't take them on a bareback charter.
Right, they couldn't perform. So. Yep. Yeah, that's right. So evidently, being able to perform at night for your wife is worth about $1 million. Anyway, so years go by, and I don't hear nothing from anybody. And I decide to, I haven't been cleaning out a file or something. I've seen the file for this lawsuit we had, and I decided to call the insurance company to find out what went on. They said it was settled. It was settled. I have no idea about it. How are you going to sell something without the owner being involved in it? Anyway, they gave me the number for the maritime attorney that was down in Miami, and got a hold of the attorney that was taking care of it. And she said, "Yeah, of course, that was settled." I said, "What did it settle for?" She said, "Well, you said the boat was worth $3,000." I said, "Yes." Well, that's what they said. That's what it was settled for. I'm confused. I'm like, how is that? She's like, limitation of liability. We filed a limitation of liability. And that's all they got. I had no idea what this was. So I go back, look it up, and sure enough, that's how it rolls. That's how they roll.
There's a statute of limitations on liability, correct?
That's correct. The boat owner, and again, this is the important part. Owner, okay? Who's the owner of a boat? Who's the owner of a bareboat or a demised charter boat when it's leased out? Okay? The charterer is, all right? So the charterer has the ability to limit their liability. And that's the key about why the bareboat is so important, okay? Because the bareboat charterer becomes owner, and his liability is limited.
So to this point, right? So because I've had, and my insurance agent didn't give me this rundown on the historic importance because I was like, yeah, man. So I want to run chartered trips. I want to run charter for hire on my uninspected passenger vessels under 6, licensed captain, do everything by the book. And he goes, no, if you want to do that, then you get them 3 signatures and they get to call and they get to pay the captain and all this shit. And I'm like, man, what the hell does that have to do with anything? And it had to do with everything with liability. Same on jet ski tours. All right, so I was running jet ski tours because I thought that was the safest way to do things, and they said, we'll cover them, but we don't like them.
Yeah. So when you say a tour, you mean have only employees on the jet ski?
No, no. I mean a jet ski tour guide who's driving the jet ski and people are falling behind. That's how they do it in South Florida. Is so in the Keys, you don't see a lot of just free ride rentals because this is what everybody thought. These people are getting on skis, they're going off, they're flipping the ski, they're getting lost. You know, at this time there wasn't a great GPS options and things like this. But you know, my insurance guy related back to me is like if they get on the ski and they drive off, and you've done all of your checks and balances, it's a lot harder for them to sue or for the insurance company to pay out rather than having a tour guide who took them on a guided tour and then they left the tour and crashed into a tree or a dock or whatever it was. Now they can say, well, we were following the tour guide. Same thing with the boat. With having a captain on.
I tell you what, this is the Limitation Liability Act is an ace in the hole for insurance companies. You know, when I found out, I mean, I've been paying insurance to this one company for years to find out that they were able to walk away from this knowingly that as long as you throw out this Limitation Liability Act, your liability is limited. So they're selling policies to these boat renting facilities knowing that they have this ace in the hole, which is kind of surprising and shocking to me that with the 606. That these insurance companies aren't jumping all over this. I mean, Rick Lindsay, who I know very well, was someone X Insurance, Prime Insurance. We had a discussion about it. And sure enough, he's used it. He's had it. He insured. I think.
So to that point, these exclusions, okay, and I guess every insurance company has these limit liabilities. And it's different to each insurance company, correct? Like you might have one insurance might have a stat, or is that a state law?
As far as the insurance, no, that's federal. Actually, it's outside of federal. It's known as being to any seagoing vessel, and there's been cases where it's been challenged. And the courts have again and again have backed it up. No, it's any seagoing vessels. Those situations, and sure enough, the limitation of liability was covered. The jet ski, they fought it. The first case, actually, the courts decided with the case that the Limitation Act didn't cover jet ski, but after the appeal, it was reversed. And the courts decided on the fact that a jet ski is a seagoing vessel and it is covered under the Limitation Liability Act, which even makes it stronger now because it went through an appeal court. And that was recently. Well, I shouldn't say recently. I think back in the early 2000s, I think that case was brought in front of the.
Kenny, I got a question. So are you saying that if you are renting a vessel in the United States, that you should be renting it as a bareboat instead of a livery?
1,000%.
Interesting.
Because they can only sue you for they can sue you for anything they want. But at the end, if you file a limitation of liability, they can only get what the value of the boat is after the incident.
So I'm kind of confused. What are the benefits of renting out as a livery opposed to a bareboat if you're getting all these advantages as a bareboat?
I mean, I've been doing this with rentaboat.com for a long time, and I get a lot of hassle from these captains that think I'm the bad guy. Because obviously, you go out, get your cab's license, you become part of that good old boys club, and then you find out that, wow, this guy is doing a bareboat, can put anybody in his boat if he wants to operate it, and he can do up to 12 people. This isn't fair.
So really quick, Kenny, let me ask you this. So when you were doing a bareboat charter, there's two pieces of this that make it a bareboat in terms of how the law considers it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but one is they have to have a contract, a bareboat contract, and two is that the charterer should have insurance. Correct?
No. Insurance is not required. Insurance is not required as far as federal insurance is not required. Insurance, federal Coast Guard does not police any kind of insurance policies for anything. Any vessel.
But the charter could get insurance if they wanted to.
If you can find an insurance company, I mean, you can self-insure yourself.
Well, that's so SB 606 doesn't necessarily require insurance SB 606. This is. Go ahead,
I don't
Kenny.
know how
I'm
the
sorry.
state's doing it. I don't even know how the state's.
Well, just looking at what I know SB 6 pretty well. Is that they are not required to have it. They just have to receive a bindable price unless their GL policy covers the renter. So they don't. They're not required. They're not required to have insurance. They can.
I don't
deny
know
it.
if I don't know if they talk to their insurance department in the state insurance department, because they have a whole department that goes through this. I doubt they did, because from what I know in this country, you can't insure something that isn't yours. It's like you have no insurable risk involved in it.
What about car rentals when they buy supplemental insurance?
That's not insurance company. That's not an insurance policy.
Yeah.
It's a
What
big
about
difference.
what about event? So like event insurance, for example, like when Kevin and I do in the annual event, we have to get an insurance policy. So we essentially are insuring something that's not that I don't know. I don't think it's ours.
I'm sure they got some sort of good fine writing somewhere that somehow. So what are you insuring? I mean, are you insuring against the place
If
going on fire?
if someone gets hurt at our event.
Okay, they're insuring you for representation, I think, so that if someone sues you, you don't have to pay for the attorneys. You might want to look at your policy.
Yeah.
Because, are you getting really covered by if someone gets hurt? Are you really paying the doctor bills, or is it that they're covering you? If you get sued, they're going to pay for your attorneys to represent you.
No, I mean, if there's an accident on one of our vessels, I mean, if you pull your finger the wrong way, they're paying out $1 million. Like, this has been over and over. I've talked to multiple.
This is about the event situation, or about
No, he's
a boat
Kevin's talking about vessels now. But as far as the events go, I don't know what. All I know is we get a general liability for that one day. It's like $200, and it covers in the event that someone gets hurt at our event. Because technically they could sue the hotel or the venue, but they also could sue us because they can say that we were negligent on how we set up the event or whatever. The hotel could sue us because we did something, whatever. We not required to have it.
It's like SB 606. Is to me what I'm hearing, and the very limited research I've done on the Limited Liability Act of 1851, it really does almost sound like a reimagined version of the Limited Liability Act of 1851. So what the state is basically saying is that it's like, all right, well, if something happens, then the person driving the boat is the person that needs to have insurance. So that if there's a lawsuit, that is the person getting sued and not the actual person who owns the boat, even though they require us to have general liability at $1 million and $2 million in aggregate. So it's almost what it sounds like. It sounds like a reimagined, like a Limited Liability Act of 1851 for Florida livery vessels, and specifically jet skis. Jet skis is really what SB 606 has affected the most in this market. And look, to this point, and without jumping too high up on my soapbox,
Well, I tell you what, the state of Florida had a huge problem in Miami that they had to do so. They had to do something. So they kind of just threw shit. It's probably my language, but they threw it against the wall. And they said, well, let's see what sticks here. Let's see what we can get away with and what we can't get away with. And I think, my opinion, that's pretty much and I'm not.
They got away with it.
That means I want to make sure everybody knows that I'm not a maritime attorney. I don't practice law. But just in my experience, being down in Florida, and they did. They threw it down, and the state basically said, well, we don't care what everybody else says. We're doing what we're doing.
I found it super interesting to find out that like cruise ships were technically a bareboat or demise charter. Like I had no idea. Yeah.
Or private individual. They don't. These guys wouldn't know what to do with the boat, and then someone leases it to them. Which is it's all
so.
about.
All right. So I had a question for you. So for the suppliers you have on rentaboat.com, like your customers, your operators, what do they do in the state of Florida? What do they do for insurance?
We're actually right now in the process of getting our 404 so that we can sell insurance. I have one company. I have one company who wants to sell insurance. It's, you ask an insurance company, do you want to sell insurance? That's what they do. They sell insurance. Okay. We have a plan right now with one of the companies that we're going to insure the boat owner. We're going to insure the charterer, the captain. There's going to be multiple levels of all in one, one scenario. And we're working on that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just to think, I started this business because I wanted to have fun.
So, but Kenny, you said before though that if they rent out your boat as a bareboat and something happens, they could only sue you for the salvageable value of the boat.
That's the insurance companies.
Yeah,
that's their ace in the hole. They can charge you for insurance and then win every case and not pay out. That's what they want.
Yeah, but with SB 606 though, you are, as a bareboat, you are still required to at least offer a bindable price. Or am I okay? So yeah, state of Florida is their own thing, but federal law and other states that don't have this, you don't necessarily have to offer.
You need something. Our hands are completely tied. We can't do anything about this. And then that's kind of like they throw it off to the FWC and say, go run with it, guys. We'll try to back you up as much as we.
Well, I've said this about this whole thing since the very beginning.
Yeah.
The rubber's going to meet the road when somebody hires an attorney on the other side, on the other shoe is on the other foot, and somebody's losing $2 million or $3 million in revenue because of this, sort of, I can't even necessarily call it restrictive, confusing, very thin market, not a lot of solutions out there for it, carriers leaving the marketplace, and who knows, maybe that's what the state of Florida wants. But I can tell you there's gonna be a lot of operators that are gonna be getting together and hiring somebody and bringing
and that's what the state really wants. You're like, hey, we threw it against the wall. We're trying to see what sticks. You guys want to pull some of it down? Go ahead. And that's how it works in this country with lawsuits and litigation. That's how things change. Things change when you bring it into the court system and the judge decides on it and makes a precedent out of it.
But on the devil's advocate side though is like there's definitely an issue in Florida. It's not just Miami. I can promise you that. Like it's in every single market in Florida where the industry has got a lot of problems. Like and if we don't do something about it, we don't have to worry about the state. We have to worry about the market correcting. Yeah,
Kenny,
100%.
Kenny, we talk about Florida a lot, obviously, on the show because we're from Florida, but you're from New York. What's going on in New York? Like, have boating laws changed drastically? Is there anything new? Like, what's going on up there? I'm kind of curious.
Seriously though, up here in New York and any other state that I do business in, it's business as usual. They don't. They abide by what the federal government is basically doing, other than the state-run boat certificates.
And what's crazy that I found out since I've spun up the test site is that I have run into seeing more states exclude boater education from day renters. Like California is one of them. So California is one of those states where they mandate that if you're going to own a boat, you have to have boater safety education. You have to have this. Irrevocable credential. It's not necessarily a license, but a safety certificate, if you will. Excluding day renters. So if you're renting a boat for a day, and it's not. California is not the only other state that has that.
And our renters, none of them have a bonus certificate or safety certificate, but it is required that we, as the facility, keep them within a certain distance to us. That is the law. I think it's 2,000 feet.
Line of sight.
I'm quite shocked that the liberal states do not put more emphasis on boaters' education. You'd think it'd be the opposite.
So we have a lot of lakes here in Long Island. You do it in Florida as well, but there's a ton of jet ski renting facilities that they would have put out of business if they would have done that. And I think they the renting facility. I know for a fact the renting facilities, they got together and went down to Washington D.C. and into the state, and they fought against it, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and that's why Florida implemented the TC, Greg, was because to this whole point, they needed to figure out tax dollars, they needed to figure out administration, they needed to figure out education. I mean, they had to have an entire department basically dedicated to the temporary certificate program. So rather than the state put a bunch of mom and pop small businesses out of business, because that 100%, if you had to take that lifetime, no one would rent a fucking boat. Like, by all means, rent my boat. You're going to have to take this 5-hour test. And so instead of doing that, they just exempted day renters from that. So I don't know if there's going to be more adoption of TC for Florida. It was just an issue because I would guess probably the jet skis even more so than the boats, but it's just like, thousands and thousands upon thousands of jet ski rentals here, and for that matter, boats as well. It became something they had to do. So I don't know if other states would adopt that simply because they don't have the same volume that we do. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I've done a lot of searching around the country. We've got jet skis and boats coming like, man, I can't take 5 steps without tripping over an ad for a boat or jet ski rental.
I'm guessing Florida probably has, real quick, Kenny, I believe just from running Trip Shock for 15 years, I'm guessing Florida has, 15-20% of the entire rental boat and jet ski rental market in the country.
That, there is a thing called maritime law, which, that's a huge, it's all law in itself. And sometimes, maritime law dates back before this country was even born. That's how old it is, and I tell you, Congress really doesn't want to mess around with it at all. They don't like changing it, for multiple reasons. First off, big companies, old-time companies, making billions of dollars just off of the bareboat contracts, and when you say you want to change it, it's just not that easy. You're talking. Just too many people making.
Yeah, it takes years to make a line item change in CFR.
The Limitation Liability Act at all, because they don't want people to know about it. They don't want to change. When you see the oil rig, I forget which Horizon oil rig that from the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah. That spilled oil into the Gulf of Mexico. Was that the right one? Was it called the Horizon? Right? Yeah. That was covered. That was a limited liability. Scenario right there. They filed one for that. They paid out just to keep everybody quiet. I think the BP oil rig also, when it went down, that was part of they filed a limitation of liability just to have it there. All right.
I got a check for $100,000 from that oil spill. I started Trip Shock literally the day of that oil spill. It would happen in April. That's when I started my business. Yeah.
So if you guys need to borrow any money, Greg's got you.
No, I don't. I used that money so fast.
Yeah, I'm sure you lost more than $100,000 out of that.
Oh, they screwed up tourism for a long time. No one won. Way more than 100,000. And luckily, I just started up, but we invested a few $100,000 into the website and the business, so it was literally a consolation.
Yeah, and again, these captains are gonna him and whore and whine about bareboat and all this. It's there. It's not gonna leave. They should take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Well, brother, we're reaching about the end of our time here, man. I look, man, I can't tell you, it's been an absolute pleasure having you, man. We get a lot of people from Florida, but we don't get that beautiful New York accent that you got, man. And
good.
A little one, man, a little one. If I'm up there, then I have an accent. You know what I mean? So, but hey, man, we appreciate your time. Look, if anybody wants to join the platform or reach out to you, what's the best way to get a hold of you and information on rentaboat.com?
No, seriously, rentaboat.com. Just Google Rent-A-Boat and most of the things come up. Again, we're a referring site, we're not a booking platform, so don't get all scared. We're going to take your money from you and not give it to you. We send you clients. If everything goes well, we make our commission.
I love it. All right, brother. Well, man, thank you so much again. We really appreciate your time. Everybody, thank you guys for tuning in. Do not forget to get out there and give us a 5-star review on any of the platforms. Rate and review us. And if you're not a part of our group and you want to talk to Kenny here, he is one of the members of the the
Water Sport and Boat Tour Operators.
Water Sport and Boat Tour Operators, presented by AWG, fucking Greg and Destin and 19 other words. At any rate, find us on Facebook. Just Google AWG and you will find our group. Guys, thank you so much for listening. As always, Roger that. All right, brother. We appreciate it. Keep it awkward.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. And to the audience, yeah, reach out to me anytime you want. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those good ways to communicate. Okay.